We're talking to Mr. Sam Latham, publisher of the Ebony Journal and the Onyx magazine. And of course, Mr. Latham, when we left off, we were talking about some of the problems that occurred during the 1980s and the 90s. And so let's pick up there and allow you to expand upon some of those ideas.
Well, Dr. Haney, I think that there's a tie-in, economics, politics, the whole works. In the late 80s, I think the economy did well under President Reagan. He finally got people's faith back into the business cycle. Consumer spending increased and a lot of new companies came online. That lasted until probably the mid-90s. There was really a sincere effort to be more affirmative in the city and I think in the country. People were looking for ways that they could partnership with African Americans in a lot of respects. So that was a good time. You had companies born like Access Med Plus, who went on to become a $600 million company, hired about 400 African American people to work for them. Then you had Phoenix Healthcare, Sam Howard, who also owned an FM radio station. So those companies flourished along with a lot of other companies in the world, in the city. You had Meharry, who at one time had about 1,800 employees. Something happened mid-90s, and I think it could tie back to Newt Gingrich and the conservative effort to do away with affirmative action, to do away with set-asides and some of the other things. And the climate.
And all those things that they call.
Yes. So not only in the legal arena, but I think people picked up on it. Other business people decided they didn't have to be. Then deregulation occurred, where there was little or no government control over businesses, over certain industries in business. So all of that started having an effect. So it seems like we just slept through an era where we lost, you know, how could Meharry lose over 1,000 employees? You know, their revenue base shrink. So it affected a lot. Fisk University, I think, in the 70s up until the 80s when they started having some problems, I think there were probably 1,000 to 1,100 students there. And now I understand there's somewhere between 750 and 800. Tennessee State enrollment has remained flat. So all of our major industries and economic, I guess, institutions, they've all declined, and we've slept through it. It's almost like nobody saw it coming. Nobody talked about it. It just happened. So it's not unusual to see a company go out of business. It's almost like, okay, you know, they were here for a while.
Almost naturally expected.
Almost naturally expected. So I think what's needed now, you know, in terms of to try to get back, I believe that we have to have more faith in one another.
Okay, good.
Because there's no shortage of money in terms of a revenue base. If we looked at our natural market, that is, you know, we're black, we look at the black market, after all, you know, Japanese American do a lot of business with their own race. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, good.
But we don't do that. We have $3.7 billion of spending power. But we spend $400 million a year buying groceries, no supermarket. We spend over $280 million a year buying cars. It's fortunate that we do have a couple of smaller dealerships in the area now. So it's not all bad news, but I think there has to be a concerted effort before we can really start gaining health in the economic sector. And if we don't have that, we don't have a strong political base, we're in real trouble.
You know, you talk about the power of the dollar in the African American community and et cetera. And you've done a lot of research in reference to that. And what about advertising? I mean, one of the things that you do with the newspaper is to advertise. Now, what are some of the problems, some of the challenges that you're finding in that area today?
Well, I think that, you know, not to really put a lot of emphasis on racial differences, but you have to look at reality. And the fact,
well, that's why you have an African American press. You know,
to explain that, to bring those nuances out. Is that, for instance, there are only 2 FM stations owned by African Americans now in the state of Tennessee, and both of those in West Tennessee. So there's less respect for, I guess, black-owned media. They feel that they can do everything they need to do through white media that owns the 92Qs, the 101s. So you aren't really doing business with a black business when you do business with those stations, those places. So they have come in and bought up the media, almost a monopoly, and raised the price. So we have to fight for what's left. So to give you an idea, $3.7 billion should support an advertising of about $75 million a year. So we only, if you added up all the African American media together, we get probably about 1% of that, 1 to 2%.
1 or 2% of all of that.
All of that money, yeah. That's available for cultivating a black community, a black demographic.
Now, that seems to be really, well, what's the problem there? I mean, it seems to me to be, on the face of it, it looks to be unfair. But
well, that's a part of that deregulation. Companies no longer have to be affirmative. Radio stations, television stations, or none of it. And they could care less about who owns what. So they come in. That's why Sam Howard found it more feasible to sell his station than to run it, because it was getting more expensive and he couldn't compete. I think when he sold his radio station, it was doing about $4 million a year. Now they're probably doing about $15 million a year under the white ownership. So they can come in, promote, and eliminate competition and do that. So we have to really fight.
Okay. For every dollar you get, you have to really.
And that includes from black-owned businesses.
And for the most part, your clientele really has gone somewhere else. Has been co-opted.
Well, I don't think we see the value of doing business with each other right now.
Okay, very good. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. I thought it's about time to break. But in a real sense, that last 20 seconds that we have here, I know, in a real sense, that's a problem when you talk about deregulation. Deregulation did not only affect the banks and all of those corporate entities, but it also had an impact upon what you were doing and what the African-American media was doing. Is that what we're seeing?
Yes, very much so.
And of course, we're going to take our second commercial break, and when we come back, I want you to talk about that.
Okay.
And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.